I'm going to show you how you can make the ultimate barbecue recipe, BBQ Buttrolls, made on the Flat Top Griddle.
A big thanks to Bravura by Herstone Outdoor for sponsoring this episode.
That is a pork butt. And you guessed it, that's where the rolls come from. Now the funny thing is that this is not actually part of the butt. This is a part of the pork shoulder. It's very, very strange. If you take a close look at this beautiful piece of meat, you see why this is a good type of meat to use for barbecue. We got loads of intramuscular fat, we got beautiful dark red meat, which means we're gonna have a lot of flavor. But there's a big downside to this piece of meat. Inside this piece of meat there is a bone. You can see a part of it sticking out right here. That is the shoulder blade. And normally it just gets in the way of everything. But for us that's a cool thing, because it means you can have this cut of pork at a very low price. First thing that I'm going to do is remove that bone. It's going to make the next step a lot easier. Now I'm going to cut this up into thin slices. This is a great way to see how beautiful this meat actually is. Look at it, absolutely gorgeous. Basically, we just cut our own pork chops, called the shoulder chop. The only difference between this and a regular shoulder chop is that this is larger. It's cut in a different direction. If you don't want to do this work, you can just order it at your butcher. Time to make some seasoning. And what better to put on a nice pork chop than some gyros spices. That's why I'm making the gyros rub from the Pitmaster X website. Starting with 2 tablespoons of salt, a tablespoon of paprika powder, a tablespoon of onion powder, a teaspoon of cumin powder, a teaspoon of cinnamon powder, a teaspoon of coriander powder, a tablespoon of dried oregano, a tablespoon of parsley, and half a tablespoon of dry thyme. Now I also like to add a half a teaspoon of chili powder, but that's optional. And if you think that I will just sprinkle this onto the meat, you're wrong. We are going to turn this into a marinade, and I'm going to show you a whole secret world behind barbecue rubs that we create with our recipes on our website that you can do yourself with our recipe. Hold on. You're going to take out a bowl, put in 100 milliliters of oil, which is about half a cup of oil, and you can use any plant-based oil that you like. And then you're going to add 4 tablespoons of the Pitmaster X rub to it. Mix that up, and that's how you make your own marinade. You can do this with all our rubs. Take a tray, put the pork chops on, drizzle on the marinade and rub it in. Make sure that every piece of pork has a little bit of that marinade, and you see a little bit of marinade goes a long way. Now stick this in the fridge for about 2 hours and you have beautifully marinated pork chops. This is my Bravura Flat Top Griddle. I'll be turning on all burners and setting them to the lowest position. I bet you've never seen pork chops like this before. Look at it. When they're laying on this giant flat top griddle, how big these actually are. And that's the beauty of this recipe. Just do it yourself and you'll be able to serve your friends up with the biggest pork chop they ever had. I'm going to be slow cooking these pork chops because in the end we will turn them into butt rolls. You'll see. It's going to be freaking delicious. I just switched my burners from the lowest setting to the hottest setting, because once they're all on, it's time to build up a little bit of crust. We want them to get a nice brown crust. That's what I'm checking for. That is something that I'm looking for. A little bit more than that. And once we got that, it's time to flip them around. We got a sufficient amount of crisp on our pork chops. Look at these beauties. Oh, they're so delicious. That Maillard effect is going to be so extremely flavorful. Now, in any other type of barbecue, this would have been an oil nightmare with flare-ups and anything and everything that comes along with that. You want to see your pork chops swimming in pork lard. Just look at how thick the fat is now. It is so thin at the moment because we rendered out all the fat. All the fat is on the griddle. Now you could throw that away and get rid of it, or you could soak it up with some mushrooms, because there's nothing better than some fried mushrooms. Of course I'm getting rid of some of that fat because this is a load of fat. It's time for the next phase of the project, and it involves bacon. Once the bacon turned golden brown, it's done, and it's time to make some rolls. I'm going to take my cast iron Scotch-Brite pan, put it over the fire. I got all my burners set to low because this is a slower process and I don't want anything to burn while we're making our rolls. Now I'm going to roll these up with my heat resistant gloves on. Of course, you can let them cool down if you want to. I'm gonna take these beautiful pork chops and lace them with bacon. And that marinade is sitting inside the meat, flavorizing everything. We're just gonna roll this up, and this is what is called a butt roll. There you have it. Now you know what a butt roll is. I'm gonna roll all of these pork chops up with that bacon inside of it, stick a toothpick in them to make sure they're secured, and then place them in my cast iron pan. And they individually, they look so freaking fantastic, but we're gonna take this dish to the next level. I'm gonna put these mushrooms and just take a look at them. They soaked up all that grease. They started to fry. We got still a little bit of the bacon left. Now I'm just gonna sprinkle these on top of the butt rolls. This is my pork butt casserole, but it ain't done yet, because this is a block of young Gouda cheese. So there we go. I'm gonna grate this on top of this dish. While that cheese is melting, I'm gonna use the opportunity to create a delicious gyros butter. I already have the seasoning. I got some butter laying around, so why not? So I'm gonna start with 250 grams of butter. To that, I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of the gyros barbecue spice mix. With a fork, I'm going to work it into the butter. A sheet of baking paper, roll it up, set it in the fridge, and your gyros butter is done. If you could only smell this. The gyros marinade just got into that pork and it didn't let go, and it's just giving me whiffs of flavor. And I like pork chops, so let's get one of these out. Whoa. There we go. A little bit of the butter. Just gonna place that on top. With a little help from my friend, the miniature blowtorch. The butt roll butter volcano. Who wouldn't want to eat that? Ho, 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 ho. Doesn't that look absolutely freaking delicious? Whoa. Let's take a look and see. Oh, look at that. Wow. All of that magic hidden inside the bacon. And look at the color from the pork chop. Because I already grilled it, it has a beautiful Maillard effect on the inside. Look at that. Insane. There we go. I haven't had that mushroom, but look at the golden brown combination. I wish I could have a color like that in my room, in my office. That would be really nice. That is a weird thing to think about. Butt rolls. You've seen them here first. Thank you for watching.